He recently presented a package of national service bills that call for the increase of support for national service at all age levels, with the AmeriCorps Together Improving Our Nation Act, the Encore Service Act, the Summer of Service Act, and the Semester of Service Act. Who pushed on this for a long time, to have a senator who calls for 1 million people serving is a great inspiration to all of us. We look forward to working with him to ensure that all of these ideas become a reality. And so, Senator Dodd, thank you from all of us for your outstanding leadership and advocacy of national service as a federal priority. We're honored to present you the Outstanding National Service Advocacy Award.
Just wish my family could have been here to hear those kind comments. Well, Paul, thank you very, very much. What a great turnout this evening. The people who have come out to be a part of this evening. So to all of you involved in national service, I thank you as well. And this is a time, in a sense, the perfect storm of tremendous problems that our fellow citizens are facing all over this country, in fact, many throughout the world, and an incredible time for opportunity to serve, given the needs that people have. And like many of you in this room, service is something that really gave meaning to my life early on with the decision to join the Peace Corps. I'm asked by pages oftentimes in the Senate, I said I served in the Peace Corps, and one young page said, when did you serve? And I said, Thomas Jefferson was president when I served. And this young page said, really? That's startling itself. I didn't know I looked that old along the way. But I've been with Harris Walford here, my wonderful friend who I just saw coming in, and I've been asked 1 million times over the years, why did I serve in the Peace Corps? Why did I make the decision to serve? And the only answer I've given 1 million times over is because someone asked me to. An American president asked me and a generation of us to serve our country, and I've never forgotten. And we went off in different directions. Some went to the Peace Corps, some went to Vista in those days. Some went to the military, others decided to serve the government one way or the other, but everyone has felt that we were being asked to make a contribution, to give something back. And I just think Americans are no different from one generation to the next. The only difference is we're not asked often enough. And what's exciting in many ways about today is we have an American president, again, who's asking us all to serve and make a difference in our country. All we need to do in many ways is create the architecture and the structures so that people can fulfill that desire to give something back, and everyone wants to do it. And so I appreciate Paul mentioning these pieces of legislation. It sounds like introducing a lot of bills, but the idea was to try and reach each age group in the country to provide the means by which people can fulfill that ambition to give something back to the country. And I want to thank Thad Cotter as well, my Republican colleague from Mississippi, who's been a champion on this as well. And it's very important that these issues don't have a political label to them. Reaching out to others, regardless of political ideology, ought to have nothing to do with service to our country. I served in the Peace Corps and then served in the Army. I rose to the elevated ranks of an E5 in the Reserves National Guard. I'm glad Colin Powell isn't here to hear me say that. What level of military service I reached, but it was important as well, that service. And I want to thank him. I want to thank the honorees recognized this evening, including the private sector as well. I think it's so important that people in the private sector be recognized for the contributions they're making. And State Farm usually is a wonderful example of that contribution. And lastly, I just say this to you in a way, I'm delighted to receive this award, but you shouldn't get an award for doing what you should be doing, in my opinion. This is something we all ought to be doing. So while I recognize and appreciate the plaque and the award, it's really, I can't imagine being in public life and not figuring out ways to make it possible for people to serve. That's what every one of us should be doing. And so I don't necessarily believe you ought to get a recognition for doing what you ought to be doing. And and that is making it possible for others to give back something, particularly at times like this. So for all of you who are involved one way or another, we've got a number of bills we need support on in the coming days, and obviously with a lot of pressures on our country economically, it'll be important to make the case that giving people a chance to serve is also stimulative for our economy. Make it possible to give something back may not have a shovel-ready idea, but it's future-ready, and it makes a difference for the long-term needs of our country. So let's get to business of passing these bills and making a difference for our country, and thank you immensely for the recognition.